On today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, for the first time in program history, the Sun Devils are undefeated in Big 12 play. We have everything you need to know before their highly anticipated Friday night clash with number 24 TCU.
And Arizona State soccer remains undefeated after a 0-0 draw last night. More on their standout performers thus far coming up.
There's only a lot to talk about there, and of course with Sun Devil Volleyball on a winning streak after the Sun Devil Classic last week. Big 12 play, though, begins this weekend. All that and so much more as Cronkite Sports Live, a special Game Night edition, starts right now. It's humid, it's damp, it is soaking out here in the valley, but we are nice here inside, comfortable here in Studio 6. Welcome to episode 3 and a special Game Night edition of season 23 here on Cronkite Sports Live. My name is Max Cepeda, and here making his debut appearance on the desk, the one and only Aiden O'Neill. Aiden, you've been a part of our program for more than 2+ years, but it's only fitting that not only you're making your debut today, but on a Friday night Game Night edition of the program nonetheless.
Oh, so pumped up, Max. And Arizona State Athletics in such an amazing spot right now. So much to get to. Number 24 TCU coming to town.
Well, I think it's only fitting with you making your debut. How about you open the show and let the people know what happened last Saturday in Waco?
Absolutely, Max. ASU, they went down to Baylor for their first game in Big 12 play, looking to keep their win streak of 6 straight. First the conference alive. McLean Stadium was rocking. Let's go to the first. Sawyer Robertson to Josh Cameron on a screen pass. It is popped out by Kendrick Breedlove. Who's on it? It's Boogie Wilson. ASU gets the ball back in plus territory, but the story all night long, having to settle for 3. Jesus Gomez through the uprights, 3-0 the score. Going out to the second quarter, Sam Levitt in the shotgun in the red zone. He'll go to Shimon Mateer, a catch above the shoe tops, pushing down to the 1-yard line. Sam Levitt will take it in himself the very next play as ASU takes a 10-3 lead. But Baylor, they had an answer. Sawyer Robertson to Cole Wilson on the bubble screen. He waltzes in untouched, tying this game at 10-10. McLean was getting into it. After the half, we go to the third. Sawyer Robertson to Josh Cameron, and once again, he gives it up. Ball is free. ASU's on top of it. They take over in Baylor's territory, but kick a field goal to take the lead. Now Sawyer Robertson looking out wide. Keith Abney with the interception, one of the best cornerbacks in the Big 12. Go and celebrate with the ASU fans that made the trip. Arizona State continuing to command this game. They settle for 3, making it 16-10. In the fourth, Bryson Washington will spin, will evade, will take it up the middle, all the way down to the 1, brought down by Javen Robinson. The very next play, Sawyer Robertson out wide. He finds Michael Trigg pushing in for a touchdown, giving Baylor a 17-16 lead. But you knew at some point, Levitt and Tyson were going to link up. JT skywalking, giving ASU the lead. A 2-point conversion makes it 24-17. Sawyer Robertson later in the fourth across the middle finds Trigg again. He's not going to be brought down. The game is tied at 24-all. The kicking problems last year. Jesus Gomez comes in from Eastern Michigan, made for moments like this, lines it up from 43 yards out. It's up, it's good. Arizona State wins their first game of Big 12 play. Sam Levitt's on fire. Gomez gets carried off. Here's Kenny Dillingham after the big win.
Holy cow. A game that you're up 3-0 in the turnover battle should not come down to a game-winning kick. That's how you send that one up. But you know what? They don't look at that at the end. They look at wins. They look at losses. Our offense sputtered. Defense picked it up. Defense sputtered. Offense picked it up. And special teams wasn't good. Won it there at the end. Like, man, that's football.
So for the first time in program history, the Sun Devils are 1-0 to begin a Big 12 season following their trip to North Texas last week, which they hope is not their last. But as they face their first ranked opponent of the season, the changes don't get any easier for Dillingham's Maroon and Gold. And as we bring in WCSN football reporter Reese Goodall, Reese, the challenges weren't easy last week, but Jesus Gomez did his job, got the job done. He's been kind of the missing X factor for this team for much of the season. What have you just seen, not only from the kicks that he's made, but maybe from the prowess and the numbers that a lot of fans don't know?
Well, it's really the obvious with Jesus Gomez, and that is his kicking accuracy and kicking range. It is much more than 3 points on the scoreboard for the Sun Devils, as it allows ASU to be more conservative and take the points when they reach the opposing half of the field. Kenny Dillingham mentioned Monday about how he doesn't need his offense to stay on the field for 4 downs to try and score. Last season, due to the kicking woes, the Sun Devils were forced to put all their chips in a lot of the time with the chance of leaving empty-handed. So much so that they ranked 8th in 4th down attempts last season, despite only converting 50% of their opportunities.
No, certainly it was the case last year, but certainly things have changed with Gomez's presence. But at least when it comes to the offense in particular, a lot of new guys have been trying to fit in alongside Jordan Tyson. We get it. He's going to be a top 5 pick potentially in the NFL draft next April. But when it comes to the other weapons, it looks like they finally got involved with Marcus Arroyo, putting in new ways to get them involved last week in Waco. What did you at least see from watching the film?
Well, first off, Shimon Mateer continued his hot form from the Texas State game. After only catching 1 pass in the first 2 games, Mateer has caught 6 passes in back-to-back games. While he didn't get into the end zone against Baylor, Mateer provides a safer option for Levitt on those tight end screens, which really hasn't been seen this season. Also, the playmaking ability of Derek Eusebio seemingly coming out of nowhere adds a burst to ASU's offensive flame. Before last Saturday, he only had 1 catch for 64 yards in his entire collegiate career. That was against U of A last season, and against Baylor this season, Eusebio had a pair of catches for 78 yards, tacking on a pair of carries for 11 yards to go with. With Jalen Moss still out for ASU, Eusebio showing up for ASU's offense could be needed again to knock off TCU tonight.
And it could be interesting to see how it plays out, particularly with the wet conditions that are going to be at Mountain America Stadium tonight. How is the passing game going to be utilized? But for the defense on the other side of the ball, very kind of lackluster for the most part. They've had some bright moments, yes, but pressuring the quarterback and explosive plays, i.e. Mississippi State, have been weaknesses so far for Brian Ward's D. What have you just seen, though, from the film from last week? Because there were 3 turnovers in the game, even though they really couldn't form any points on the other side of the ball with those turnovers.
Well, when you force 3 turnovers, it's easy to look at the guys that forced those 3 turnovers. First off, Kendrick Breedlove in the nickel had one of his best games this season. His most notable play came on the 3rd play of the game. It was a simple peanut punch, and it instantly gave the ball to ASU and set the tone for ASU's defense. Later, Adrian Boogie Wilson showed off his own moves with the forced fumble of his own. Wilson, who was only on the field due to an injury to safety Xavier Alford, held his own and didn't look out of place once. After the difficult defensive performance against Mississippi State earlier this season, Brian Ward's unit certainly took a step in the right direction against Baylor.
No, certainly they absolutely did, Reese, and thank you so much for your insight. We absolutely do appreciate it. But I think it's only fitting that on a night where we have a special game night edition of CSL, that we have some of our own on site in Tempe. So for our preview of the 24th ranked Horned Frogs, here's our Dominic Pasella and Keenan Vaughn, who looks like you guys are trying to stay dry. You guys look a little bit wet right now, but please stay dry and tell us a little bit more about these Horned Frogs coming into Tempe tonight.
Yeah, thanks guys. I'm Dominic Pasella with Keenan Vaughn. We're at Mountain America Stadium right now. It is pouring. We are soaked. It's a fun one. There might be a monsoon tonight. That's something to look out for. And Keenan, another thing to look out for is this TCU offense, especially their quarterback, Josh Hoover. He's a 3rd-year quarterback. He's been in the system a long time. He's averaging 333 pass yards a game right now. That leads the entire nation. Last season, he was only 50 yards short of 4,000. He broke the record for single-season passing in TCU. He's a dog, and he couldn't do it without his partner in crime, Eric McAllister, another dog for the program. He's 2nd in the Big 12 in receiving yards, only behind Jordan Tyson, but he's doing it on 18 less catches. He only has 13. Tyson has 31. These two complement each other very well. It's an air raid style offense. It's going to be interesting to see how that works with the rain tonight. I know it's going to be slippery. The ball might not get out the same, but it's going to be fun to watch. How about this defense?
Well, Dom, if you want weapons, look no further than the TCU defense. First off, we look at junior safety Jamel Johnson, absolute ball hawk in the defensive backfield. Leads the team in interceptions after a 2-pick performance against rival SMU last weekend. He also leads the team in total tackles with 20, including 14 solo tackles and 1 tackle for loss. And look at the defensive line for Enzel Din Muba. After a season at Washington State with 24 total tackles and 6 sacks, he transferred to TCU, and he's off to a hot start through 3 games. Leads the team in tackles for loss with 3. He's also got an additional 7 tackles and 1.5 sacks. Absolute dog in the trenches. It'll be really interesting to see what Marcus Arroyo and Kenny Dillingham cook up for this TCU defense, but considering these conditions, it might be an equal playing field.
Yeah, tonight might be interesting. I know the Horned Frogs Bulldogs weren't expecting this much rain in the desert, but it should be fun nonetheless. More to you coming from Mountain America Stadium. I'm Dominic Pasella with Keenan Vaughn. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Dominic and Keenan. Stay dry out there for sure tonight. But Sun Devil football has been conditioned to playing close games. You probably are aware of this, having one-score contests define the Kenny Dillingham era as a whole. But it doesn't get any easier with a Big 12 schedule that may possess more of the same moving forward. WCSN football reporter Crawford McKinstry breaks down just how the Devils continue to live along the far edges.
The Sun Devils have put together a record of 7-3 in their last 10 one-score games dating back to the beginning of last season, and each win or loss has been entirely different from the next. The most recent of those victories came last Saturday against Baylor by way of a game-winning Jesus Gomez field goal. In ASU's 4-point loss in Week 2 to Mississippi State, the dagger that put the game away was a 58-yard Brennan Thompson touchdown with 30 seconds left. Last season's Peach Bowl in the CFP quarterfinal saw the Sun Devils fall in a nail-biter for the Asians. Despite an inspiring second-half turnaround, a Sam Levitt red zone interception sealed Arizona State's fate in double OT. The game that saved ASU's season and secured their spot in the Big 12 championship last year ended in spectacular fashion as well. In a 5-point win over BYU, a 64-yard interception returned by Javen Robinson kept ASU's playoff hopes alive. Against UCF last November, a late-game touchdown from the patented duo of Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson put the Sun Devils up 4. Not long after, a big stop on 4th and 2 prevented the Knights from punching back, and ASU ran out the clock. Whether it be closing out Utah at home with a strong fourth quarter or dropping a tough one on the road versus Texas Tech, the many returners on ASU's roster have gotten ample experience in close games. Head coach Kenny Dillingham has the confidence the past trials and tribulations of the clutch have built his squad to be ready for what may come next. Starting with TCU today, the rest of Big 12 play holds a bounty of opponents that could force similar situations to unfold, and the Sun Devils will have to respond by any means necessary. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Crawford McKinstry.
In Oklahoma State, a really good team, an NCAA team, and they came here to try and get a point. They got what they came for. They didn't come here to try and score a goal. They came here to make sure that we didn't, and congratulations to them and in playing that way. You know, if a team, I'm not one of those that disrespects a team that parks the bus, you know, because it's part of soccer. We've just got to do a better job to break that bus down.
The sentiment around Sun Devil soccer before the season was unknown, with the talent lost on the front line and no true identity. But the new faces have done more than just pick up the slack. They've made ASU better. Our Casey Smith has more.
The Sun Devil soccer offense is off to a searing hot start in 2025, despite an attack that is almost completely different from last year. Out of ASU's top 4 goal scorers from 2024, only one remains the same, senior Cameron Valadares. Her 7 assists are good for second most in the Big 12, as she's wasted little time adjusting to the new faces up front. Let's take a look at how the Sun Devil forwards have shaken it up in 2025. Leading the charge in goals for ASU this season is senior attacking midfielder Tatum Thomason with 5 goals and 3 assists to her name. The Washington transfer has earned the trust of Coach Graham Winkworth to be the penalty taker for the team. Not only has she been clinical from the spot, but her relentless attack has left defenses reeling through the first leg of the year. In front of Thomason has been Mississippi State transfer Sierra Bergen. The new striker for ASU has had big shoes to fill, as last year's Big 12 Freshman of the Year, Kiara Blundell, has missed the first 8 matches of this year. Bergen has netted 3 goals and 2 assists as the target woman for this ASU team that adores crossing it into the box. Her presence has forced defenses to keep a constant eye on her, leaving space down the wings for this ASU attack. Taking advantage of that space down the left wing is the final face of the new scoring trio, freshman Addison Baltadano. The Phoenix native has been the young star of the Sun Devil attack, as her timely runs and feel for space have benefited her greatly whenever pinpoint crosses have come her way. If Baltadano and the rest of the new-look Sun Devils can continue the level of play they've had, then they'll prove to be a unit that Big 12 defenses won't be keen on facing anytime soon. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Casey Smith.
Addison Baltadano has been extraordinary to begin her tenure with the Sun Devils. It's felt straight out of a movie, the hometown star shining for the local school. And her impact has changed the program. WCSN soccer reporter Danielle Corey has the story.
I want to take a minute to dive a little deeper into just how special freshman Addison Baltodano has been for this Sun Devil soccer team. Raised as an Arizona native, Addison graduated from Basha High School in 2025, where she played varsity soccer, scoring 16 goals and 12 assists in her senior season. Coming into college, Addison solidified a key role on the roster as a forward and midfielder, where she's hit the ground running, collecting 3 goals, 3 assists, and 10 shots on goal so far in the season. Baltodano has gotten more comfortable as the season progresses, with her most valuable game yet being last week's upset against then number 10 in the nation BYU, Arizona State's biggest win since upsetting then number 3 UCLA in 2021. Addison racked up an assist to senior Cameron Valadares in the first half, as well as the game-sealing goal to open the second half. This game marked back-to-back matches where she had been credited with both a goal and an assist in the same game, with the first being senior night against UTEP. Due to how much she's been filling the stat sheets, Baltodano received Big 12 Freshman of the Week on September 17th, making it the 40th All-Time Conference Weekly Award for the program. With all of her success so far, it's apparent that Addison Baltodano is vital to this team's present and future, making her an exciting homegrown star in the making in a state that typically isn't known for its soccer prowess. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Danny. And from the grass to the hardwood, one coach who has done nothing but handle his business in non-conference play has been Sun Devil Volleyball's J.J. Van Niel, who in his 3rd season is, may I remind you, 33-3 in games outside of league play. But now, after winning the league in year 1, the rest of the Big 12's contenders have their targets firmly set on the ladies at DFA. And to break down how the league shapes up in comparison to the Devils' freshman season, here's WCSN volleyball reporter Bella Rizet with our second rendition this season of The Big Picture.
Number 8, Arizona State volleyball swept through the Sun Devil Classic last weekend, led by star opposite Noemi Glover in her return from injury. The Sun Devils are 9-2 and open Big 12 play tonight at number 18 Kansas, followed by Kansas State on Sunday. Last year, Arizona State controlled the Big 12 with a 17-1 record, while Kansas, Utah, and TCU were the closest challengers. This season, the picture is shifting. Number 9 TCU is off to an 11-2 start with one of the most efficient offenses in the league. Number 14 BYU, just 12-6 in conference play last year, is now undefeated and a national leader in blocks per set. Colorado, who finished near bottom a year ago, has bounced back 9-2 against high-volume attack. And number 20 Baylor remains dangerous, showing off a defense that recorded 15 blocks in their last win. The road remains the Sun Devils' biggest question mark, as both losses this year have come against ranked teams away from Tempe. With back-to-back road matches against Kansas and Kansas State this weekend and later trips to BYU, Colorado, and rival Arizona, consistency outside the Desert Financial Arena will determine whether the Sun Devils can repeat last year's conference dominance.
Arizona State volleyball has already made their mark, with J.J. Van Niel leading his squad to a 9-2 start in 2025. But the next 4 games in a potent Big 12 conference will reveal their true colors. Our Pratham Valluri has more.
3 top 10 showdowns during non-conference play has given ASU volleyball a taste of the elite competition they could possibly face in the NCAA tournament. At 9-2, ASU has come out of the gates firing, but its 1-2 record against top 10 opponents leaves more to be desired. With 4 tough matches to open up Big 12 play, the Sun Devils will have the perfect chance to gauge just how good of a team they are, starting with number 18 Kansas tonight. Last season, ASU's underdog win over number 8 Kansas was the 4th highest ranked victory under J.J. Van Niel. Now, ASU is the team playing from the front. Kansas State, who received votes to be in the top 25, are up next on Sunday, followed by number 23 Utah and number 20 Baylor. These sides all pose danger, but combined are just 3-10 against ranked opponents. For ASU to come out on top, it'll need to prioritize its defense and efficiency. In the losses to Pitt and Texas, ASU got out-hit by significant margins, committing more errors and having fewer kills. Outside hitter Noemi Glover, who was injured for the Texas match, was in top form during the Sun Devil Classic with 30 kills, and her presence has certainly alleviated pressure from the rest of her teammates. The next 4 teams that will play ASU all average at least 13 kills per set. Glover and middle blockers Colby Neal and Ella Lomagora will need to be physical up front to maintain ASU's Big 12 leading 2.84 blocks per set. The Sun Devils made the hard trek up the mountain last year, But now that they're near the top, everyone in the Big 12 will be gunning for their spot. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Pratham Maluri.
Thanks so much, Pratham. But stop me if you've heard this before. A program in Tempe coming off an overachieving season with a fiery homebred head coach now looks to live up to its new standard in its second year in a new conference. And no, I'm not rewinding the show back to the gridiron. I'm talking about the maroon and gold on the ice as Sun Devil Hockey opens its 2025 campaign next week as the 14th ranked team in the nation according to the USCHO preseason poll. But before they begin their gauntlet of a non-conference slate with the 5th-ranked Nittany Lions of Penn State coming to the Mullet next weekend, the amount of change that's happened in the sport is seismic. And our Colgan Herschel breaks down how new these rules could change the future of college hockey.
With NIL and the expansion of the transfer pool growing the landscape of college athletics every year, it was only a matter of time before hockey caught up. In November 2024, the NCAA approved a rule change allowing Canadian Hockey League players to join college programs, adding a pool of over 1,400 athletes. The CHL is made up of 3 premier junior leagues, the QMJHL, the WHL, and the OHL. Players are eligible to transfer if they aren't signed to an NHL contract and haven't received compensation beyond actual and necessary expenses, like housing and meals. 7 current Sun Devils fit that criteria and decided to come to Tempe for the upcoming season. Braxton Whitehead was the first name from the CHL that transferred to the NCAA. The 21-year-old freshman spent 4 full seasons with the Regina Pats in the WHL and was a point per game in 2024. Head coach Greg Powers' goal was to add size to ASU's lineup, which defenseman Justin Kipke and forward Sam Alfano bring. They are the tallest players on the roster, listed at 6'4". Kipke is a proven two-way player after 2 straight 50-point seasons for the Victoria Royals. Alfano brings size and skill to an already skilled team. He is a season removed from a 41-goal, 84-point season for the Erie Otters, one of the most pipeline teams in the CHL, producing talent such as Connor McDavid, Alex DeBrincat, and Ryan O'Reilly. ASU got one more forward that is unlike any other transfer in program history. Jack Beck, brother of former Sun Devil Noah, was able to transfer to Tempe in September despite signing a contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins AHL affiliate. Noah Powell, Sean McGurn, and Justin Cloutier will also take the ice for the first time in the maroon and gold a week from today for ASU's home opener versus Penn State. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Colgan Herschel.
Arizona State golf is known for being a national powerhouse, producing some of the best talent in the country year in and year out. But both the men and the women have had fall campaigns trending in opposite directions. We now bring in WCSN golf reporter Easton Stockford to break down the recent trends in Easton. Arizona State men's golf won its first 2 tournaments before finishing 8th at the Fighting Illini Invitational. What caused them to drop off so suddenly in Chicago?
Well, in ASU men's golf just couldn't find that hot round to shoot them up the leaderboard. In their 2 wins this year, the Sun Devils had several scoring sprees to cover up the bumps in the road. But this week was just one big hump they couldn't get over. The Sun Devils have had their foot to the floor all September, playing 3 tournaments in just 15 days. The grind may have finally caught up to them, so their finish at Olympia Fields is likely just a dip in the road to their red-hot start.
Feels like something eventually has got to give with how talented this group is. And on the women's side, they're trending up after a 4th place finish this week. Where did they improve, Easton, from last week, and where can they keep progressing?
Well, with their 4 freshmen and overall young roster, ASU women's golf is starting to find form and settle into the young season. The team scored better and did so more consistently, allowing them to compete for a top spot in the tournament this week. The last piece needing to fall in place, their 8 over par middle round. One bad round held ASU back this week, and if they can eliminate those big mistakes in high-scoring rounds, nothing stopping them from competing at the highest level.
And as both teams keep the ball rolling at the beginning of this year, what can we expect from them as the season continues to unfold?
Well, Aiden, despite the hiccup, men's golf is still ranked number 2 in the country. Don't expect their star-studded roster to flounder much, as they will likely be back to their winning ways soon. And while women's golf has been playing below expectations to start, all 7 of their players are from overseas, meaning the roster could still be getting comfortable on U.S. soil. They are trending in the right direction, and as the season progresses, expect their young guns to pick up some steam and compete among the best in the NCAA.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Easton, and we'll keep an eye out on both squads' performance for the rest of the calendar year as they gear up for the spring season.
Now, if you're a longtime viewer of this program, you may remember my take I delivered at this very desk last spring on our segment The Way It Is, about ASU Athletic Director Graham Rossini's hires he's overseen and made while in charge, and how it may impact Tempe for years to come. But if you're a Sun Devil fan yourself, watching at home, you probably have noticed the similarities between the coaches that have become superstars, both on and off the field here in the desert. To break down Rossini's role and what this could mean for the future of ASU athletics, here's the CSL debut of our Brady Foxwell.
In May of 2024, Graham Rossini was hired as Arizona State's next athletic director. Rossini inherited an athletic program in disarray after a bumpy end to the Ray Anderson era in Tempe. Rossini's goal? Bring Arizona State into the modern era. In just over a year into Rossini's reign, football, volleyball, and swim and dive captured Big 12 titles, largely in part to coaches Kenny Dillingham, J.J. Van Niel, and Herbie Bain, whose hiring began the culture shift that Rossini capitalized on. But what do these coaches have in common? And can Rossini's newest hire, Molly Miller, find the same success? In 2023, Kenny Dillingham's squad had no wind in its sails, but the ASU grad brought a contagious energy to Tempe with a goal to activate the Valley. Fast forward to 2024, and after a 3-win season, ASU was projected to finish last in the conference standings. But the 33-year-old Kenny Dillingham led the Sun Devils to a Big 12 title with an 11-2 record, going undefeated in Tempe. Over at Desert Financial, it was a similar story for Sun Devil volleyball. Coming off 3 straight 9th place finishes in the Pac-12, a change was needed for ASU. The answer? J.J. Van Niel, a former accountant who was looking to change the culture in the same way that Dillingham did on the gridiron. In his first year, the Sun Devils finished 28-7, making ASU history by winning 2 games in the NCAA tournament. And in 2024, Van Niel became the fastest coach in program history to reach 50 wins when the Sun Devils went 30-3, hoisting Big 12 hardware, with the campaign concluding in the NCAA's Elite Eight. Over in the pool, the legendary Bob Bowman had just left for Texas, leaving longtime assistant Herbie Bain to take over the swim and dive program. Under Bowman, the women's team was overshadowed by the men's success, hardly gaining national recognition. But in Bain's first year as coach, both the men and the women's team won the Big 12 championship, with the men finishing in 5th and the women placing 19th, winning their first ever conference title. The former Sun Devil swimmer, who once had to sell raffle tickets to keep the program alive, was named as the Big 12 Men and Women's Coach of the Year as ASU continues to dominate the conference for years to come. Now, how does this apply to Molly Miller? Well, at face value, ASU's women's basketball is in shambles. But if she's anything like these other 3, then she should fit right in at Arizona State. And just like Dillingham, Van Niel, and Bain, she perfectly fits the Rossini archetype of a young, likable coach with unrelenting championship standards, and fans look forward to Miller's first season donning the maroon and gold. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Brady Foxwell.
Let's do top plays. Cameron Scadaboo takes it up the middle. One man misses, another misses. He dives into the end zone. His second touchdown of the year, 102 yards on the season, and a backflip. Max doing it all.
Well, it seems he's just going to be on the show every week, and he's already left Tempe. On to number 4, Pauline Nellis. Another incredible night for her, as she's going to be able to make this save last night in the 0-0 draw against Oklahoma State. Aiden, she is now 1 shutout away from the program record of 24 shutouts.
Number 3, Robertson looks out wide. There's Keith Abney, number 1, the number 1 quarterback in the Big 12, some people say. What a game from him.
Absolutely. And then on to number 2, a key weapon for J.J. Van Niel back last weekend as Naomi Glover in a spectacular weekend in the Sun Devil Classic. 30 kills and 11 blocks combined after missing 5 games with an injury. Gonna need her prowess play in the attack against Big 12 play starting this weekend with the Kansas Schools.
And at number 1, Jesus Gomez. He's been a revelation. He knocks through the game winner. Arizona State has found their kicker, Max. They'll look to keep that momentum going tonight at Mountain America. Rainy weather, we'll see what's in store, but man, that contest is going to be a good one.
Sure is. What a just weekend of college football that we get to have, as at least with ASU people, obviously. You have the game tonight and then the incredible slate that's going to be tomorrow, including for our executive producer, Ronan Haycoop, who is in Happy Valley this week for number 6 Oregon, number 3 Penn State in the whiteout. Should be a spectacular environment there, but I know all of our crew wants to get to Mountain America Stadium ASAP, as do we. But for everyone who makes this show possible and for the debut of Aiden O'Neill, my name is Max Cepeda, and we'll see you next week for a hockey opening night edition of Cronkite Sports Live.